Hey, welcome to 22 DIY. Today I'm going to be making a planter box. This is all the wood I'm going to be using for this project. I'll leave the sizes in the description box. So first off, I'm going to start by taking these two pieces, which is going to be the bottom of the planter box, and I'm going to use the Kreg Jig and put holes in the sides of them, but kind of bricklayering it so that they're alternating on the different planks of wood. Okay, these are the screws that I used. And this is how my holes were lining up after I drilled the holes in both boards. Right here on the end, I did end up with extra holes because I accidentally shifted the Kreg Jig while I was using it. I did go a bit overboard on the screws on this part, but I wanted to make sure it was super sturdy just because this is going to be the bottom of the planter box, and I know it's going to be holding a lot of weight with all of the dirt. So once I flipped this over, I did notice that there were some screws poking out of the bottom, but I figured it wasn't that big of a deal because this will be on the bottom of the planter box or inside of it. Alright, so right here I'm just getting the screws started in the wood just so that when I get ready to attach the other piece of wood to it, the screws don't go, all over the place. Now I'm just repeating it on the other side. Essentially, I'm just making a rectangle, and I'm going to repeat this process twice. So I'll have 3 rectangles that will eventually be stacked on top of each other. So this is the rectangle that I had just mentioned. So I'll have 3 of these, and they'll stack right on top of each other, and they'll sit on top of the first piece that I made, which was the bottom. So now I'm taking the Kreg Jig again, and I am going around and doing the same thing I did to the bottom, just placing holes, just kind of laying them out so that when I drill the holes in the next piece of wood that will be on top of it, they will kind of alternate throughout. So this is what I mean. I'm gonna have the screws alternating right here. and this is where I did not plan. So I just started drilling holes all over the place, and obviously some of them are in the same spot, but they're going into different pieces of wood because at this point I could not be bothered to take time to plan out where I actually needed to put screws. So this is what we have. So now I am attaching these 3 side pieces together quite chaotically, and now that this is all sturdy and stacked together, I am going to go ahead and attach the bottom piece. I'm just going to set it on top. So now I'm just screwing in the top piece, I'm sorry, the bottom piece to the bottom of the sides. Alright, so this is how we're looking now that the box is fully assembled. Now if you did decide to do something like this, you could leave it like this, or you can continue on and do the most like I did. This part was completely unnecessary because I did end up lining the planter box with plastic, but at that point in time that was not the plan, and I wanted to make sure there was no dirt or anything that was going to come out, as well as I wanted to make sure I didn't get any paint inside of the box. So I just took that wood filler and sealed all of the cracks, and then I'm going to take this cheap sander block from Dollar Tree and I'm just going to sand all of the wood filler smooth. Then I took a wet rag and just wiped all of the dust off of here. And this is the paint that I chose for the box. And then I have another paint, which is a darker color for the trim pieces. This paint is actually quite a bit lighter in person. I'm not sure why it was coming out so dark on camera, but at the end of the video you'll get to see the color a little bit better. So I did 2 coats of this paint, and this is how it looked when I finished. And then these are the trim pieces that I have, and I am just going over these with the paint as well. Okay, so this is how all of the trim pieces looked when they were done. And then I have these little nails that were a bit too short, so I had to use pliers to hold them in place. But I just took these pieces and nailed them down really quickly around the edges of the planter box on the top and the bottom. So this is what the trim is looking like. Now obviously there are some nails sticking out of the side because the screws that I used were a bit too long. And this is how it's looking once everything was fully assembled. So this is what it looked like once I added the legs. I unfortunately did not record that process at all, but I just attached those 2 longer pieces to the bottom of the box and attached the 2 shorter pieces in between the legs for more stability. I really love the way this planter box came out. If you enjoyed watching this video, make sure you leave a comment below, give this video a thumbs up, and subscribe.